Good morning, men. Oh my goodness, let's try that again. Good morning, men. Better. Good morning. My name, as you heard, is Bob Morrison, and I'm always pleased to have a moment to come back home. In many ways, Jesuit was a foundation of so much that has occurred to and for me, and I'm humbled to have this opportunity. Well, this is Black History Month, and the thought was, what could make this convocation unique and special? Well, I thought, and we agreed that nothing could be better than to introduce you to a part of living Black history. That person is one of our own. He was the star running back on our first high school football championship, the first championship won by any high school in Tampa. He was the first African American athlete to sign a scholarship, athletic scholarship, at the University of Florida. And he's one of ours. So before I give some closing comments, I'm going to have him step to the microphone and I'm going to ask him a question and let you hear the voice of a living legend. Let me introduce you to the one and the only, Mr. Leonard George. Leonard. Leonard and I go way back. He was a junior when I was a freshman, and we were talking about a moment of history that I want him to share with you. Leonard, this fall marks the 60th anniversary of you stepping on Jesuit's campus for the first time. Tell us what it feels like 60 years later to step on this campus and see what you see today.
You know, looking out at these people, these fellas, I realized that Howard was there where you are now. At the time that I came to Jesuit, I had no idea what I would be able to accomplish. As a team, as a student, as a citizen, so it really takes me well back to see you all, see how much Jesuit has meant, and how much I was able to accomplish. I tell you, it looks so good to get back home, to be a part of these special places. I've been a lot of places, I've done a lot of things, but it all started here at Jesuit. And I want you to remember that we all have our own personal history, every one of you. And nothing is more important when the friends, the associations that you make today, tomorrow will serve you very well. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being who you are. Go Fly.
As Linda and I were driving over this morning, we talked about our team. And I shared with him that I was going to talk about two fathers of two of our teammates who, although they were not African American, they were part of the Black history story here in Tampa. Those teammates were Don Guawi and Greg Harlow. Their dads were Dr. Tom Guawi and Dr. Joseph Harlow. So often we think of history as being something that needs to be dramatic or needs to be earth-shattering or needs to be out of the ordinary. But sometimes history is about having a moral compass. Sometimes history is about demonstrating that you truly are a man for others. In short, when Leonard and I were part of the Jesuit football family, there were guys who were like brothers. And you always wonder, well, what made them who they were? And what made them what they were in terms of being open and welcoming and embracing? Well, Dr. Harlow was a OBGYN obstetrician here in Tampa. Dr. Guawi was a pediatrician here in Tampa. Well, the reason I want to share with you why those men shaped their sons and reflected the best of Jesuit was that they both served the African American community as doctors when their counterparts chose to perhaps look elsewhere. And what got my attention and caused me to offer and want to share that story, their stories with you, is that I just happened to pull Dr. Guawi's obituary. And for all the things he accomplished, what his family chose to put in his obituary was that in the late 50s, there were two hospitals in Tampa. One was called Clara Fry Hospital, which literally was at the location where Blake High School is located now, and Tampa General. Dr. Guawi was director of pediatrics at Tampa General, but he was also on the staff at Clara Fry. Clara Fry was, if you were a person of color, you couldn't go to Tampa General. You had to go to Clara Fry, which did not have the same facilities, did not have the same instruments, did not have the same capacity. Well, Dr. Guawi decided that as director of pediatrics at Tampa General, he would not accept the rule. And the rule at Tampa General was that if you happened to be black and a child, you were put in a separate room from white children who happened to be white. Well, Dr. Guawi did something that he probably didn't give a lot of thought to, but his family did, and the African American community did. And what he said that if any of his Clara Fry patients were referred to Tampa General, that all children would sit in the same room, regardless of their color. Now that seems like a small thing, a small piece of what someone should do. But in those days, that was deemed to be unusual, deemed to be earth-shattering, deemed to be, who do you think you are? But Dr. Guawi and Dr. Harlow lived what was and is the Jesuit motto, men for others. Dr. Guawi ultimately served as well on Jesuit's Board of Trustees. Dr. Harlow had 3 sons ultimately here at Jesuit. Greg played with Leonard and I, in fact graduated with Leonard. Danny, their middle son, graduated with me, and Steve, their youngest brother, was a punter on our state championship team as a freshman. But the moral of the story is this: history is not driven by doing something out of the ordinary. History is driven by you being open to doing the simple, the ordinary. But when you touch lives, years later, you get humbled by being recognized. Well, the close to this convocation this morning is that Leonard shared with me that he got a text from Don Guawi last night. Don shared with him that, "I was just thinking about you, Leonard. I want you to know that I'm grappling with stage 4 lung cancer. But I just wanted to check on you to make sure you're doing well, you're doing okay." That's the mark of brotherhood. 60 years later, Don giving a call to Leonard just to say, "Hey, bro, I'm thinking of you. I'm sick, but I'm thinking of you. I'm grappling with what is a terminal illness, but I'm thinking of you." I can't think of a better moment to honor what Jesuit is all about. I can't think of a better way to reflect to you that Black history is not just about someone who happens to be African American. Black history is about understanding that after it's all said and done, we are all God's children, and 60 years later, we don't count it more than necessary to pick up the phone and send a text, to check on a friend, even when you're sick, to say, "Hey, bro, how you doing?" This is why Jesuit is the institution it is. That's why I'm so pleased to call myself a Jesuit graduate. That's why I'm pleased to have sent 2 sons to this institution, because after it's all said and done, to God be the glory. Have a great day.